Are we really doing this again, Leafs Nation? Another big-name defenseman rumor, another potential blockbuster, but are we truly addressing the gaping hole in this roster, or are we just chasing shadows while the real problem festers? It's a question that echoes through the halls of every passionate fan, a familiar refrain as the offseason winds down and the promise of training camp looms. Because if the latest whispers are to be believed, the Toronto Maple Leafs are reportedly eyeing Mikhail Sergachev, a move that, while flashy on the surface, feels less like a solution and more like a detour from the path to true contention. Now, let's be clear up front. The source of this Sergachev rumor is, shall we say, less than ironclad. It's a semi-reliable whisper, uncorroborated by the usual trusted insiders, and frankly it smells a bit like an off-season mirage. But even if it's just smoke, it's smoke worth dissecting, because it highlights a fundamental misunderstanding of what this team truly needs. While adding a dynamic, offensive-minded defenseman like Sergachev might seem appealing on paper, it doesn't just fail to solve the Leafs' most pressing issue. It potentially exacerbates a different one, the team's already strained asset pool. The very notion of acquiring a player of Sergachev's caliber, a true impact defenseman, immediately begs the question, what exactly do the Maple Leafs have to offer? The cold, hard truth is, not much. This isn't a team flush with high-end prospects, or an abundance of draft capital, especially after past moves. We saw this play out in stark relief with the pursuit of Buffalo Sabres winger J.J. Peterka. The rumor mill churned, linking Brandon Carlo to a potential deal, yet it wasn't enough. The Leafs reportedly fought tooth and nail, only to lose the bidding, war to the Utah Mammoth, who ultimately coughed up Michael Kesselring and Josh Doan. That's a significant package, a testament to the cost of acquiring legitimate talent in today's NHL. If a player like Carlo, a solid, reliable defenseman, wasn't enough to land Peterka, what makes us think he, or any other combination of existing assets, would be sufficient for Sergachev? To bring in a player of Sergachev's stature and salary, the Maple Leafs would need to sweeten the pot considerably, and that's precisely where their current roster and prospect depth fall short. Their recent acquisition of Matias Maccelli for a conditional third-round pick, while a potentially shrewd, cheaper gamble, underscores this point. It was a low-cost move for a player with some upside, but also significant question marks after a down season. It's the kind of move a team makes when it can't afford the bigger fish. If they couldn't secure a top-6 forward like Peterka, whose value is arguably comparable, how could they possibly land a top-pairing defenseman like Sergachev? The prospect pool is thin, and losing out on Peterka for lack of assets is a clear indicator of the uphill battle they face in any major trade negotiation. Beyond Toronto's own limitations, there's the equally crucial perspective of the Utah Mammoth. From their vantage point, trading Mikhail Sergachev makes absolutely no sense, not now, and likely not in the foreseeable future. The Mammoth paid a significant price to acquire him and have actively worked to build their defensive identity around players like him. Sergachev isn't just a warm body, he's a cornerstone. He's coming off his second most productive season, tallying 53 points, just 2 seasons removed from a career-best 64 points with the Tampa Bay Lightning. For a franchise that, even in its Arizona Coyotes iteration, hadn't seen a 50-point defenseman since Shane Gostisbehere in 2021-22, Sergachev's offensive contributions are invaluable. His 52.96% expected goals percentage at 5-on-5 further highlights his positive impact on the ice. With the salary cap on the rise, Sergachev's $8.5 million cap hit, while substantial, becomes an increasingly valuable asset for a team looking to contend. The Mammoth were tantalizingly close to a playoff berth last season, and with additions like Peterka, they're clearly signaling their intent to push even harder this year. Why would they dismantle a key part of their blue line, especially one performing at such a high level, when they're on the cusp of becoming a legitimate playoff threat? Furthermore, Sergachev holds a no-trade clause, giving him complete control over his destiny until 2027, when it converts to a modified 16-team trade list. Ultimately, any move to Toronto would require his explicit approval, and there's no indication he's looking to leave a team that's building something exciting. And then there's the positional fit. Sergachev is a left-shot defenseman, the Maple Leafs already boast a plethora of left-shot blue liners, including Morgan Rielly, Jake McCabe, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Unless the Leafs are contemplating the unthinkable, moving Riley, which is highly improbable, or making Carlo redundant. They're not going to part with players like McCabe or Ekman-Larsson, who have shown flashes of potential and stability. Adding another high-priced left-shot defenseman doesn't address a critical positional need. It creates an imbalance. Ultimately, while adding a strong, puck-moving defenseman like Sergachev would certainly be a boost, it utterly fails to address the elephant in the room, the gaping void left by the absence of Mitch Marner. The hope is that Michelli and other new additions can pick up some of the slack offensively, but what if they don't? What if those gambles don't pay off? The team would find itself right back where it started, facing a significant offensive deficit. This is the primary problem that needs to be solved, and every potential trade should be viewed through that lens. This is why a player like Brandon Carlo, despite his defensive prowess, might still be a more valuable trade chip for the Leafs. While he shores up the defense, the team already has a roster replete with defensive-minded blue liners. They could, theoretically, afford to move Carlo to acquire the top 6 offensive help they desperately need. Could Carlo also be part of a package for a different, more suitable puck-moving defenseman? Absolutely. But the target would need to be a better fit than Sergachev. Perhaps even a free agent like Rasmus Andersson, should he become available, who brings both offense and a two-way game that aligns with the Leafs' aspirations. So, while the idea of adding Mikhail Sergachev might spark excitement, the reality is a labyrinth of obstacles, from contractual complexities to the sheer lack of suitable assets. The Michelli trade, a more modest and achievable move, likely signals the end of any serious pursuit of a player of Sergachev's magnitude, at least for now. It was a move that addressed a need without breaking the bank, a stark contrast to the kind of package required for a player like Sergachev. But in the unpredictable world of professional hockey, things can always change. What are your thoughts, Leafs Nation? Do you think the Sergachev rumors hold any weight, or are they a distraction from the real challenges facing this team? Hit that like button if you're ready for some real answers, and let me know in the comments below. What's the one move you think the Maple Leafs absolutely must make to truly contend?